It was
What is
Vision.
going? Oh, I know. What is going on, Movie Meals? WandaVision, episode six,
Yes.
six
Yes.
review, after show, really. And I'm just going to take this one off on the lead here, Kyle, because
Oh.
that's what I like to do as the creator of this show years ago. I'm in charge, my show. Get off my show. Um, um,
Yeah, go on, go for it.
Loved this episode again. It was not my favorite. Like I didn't have obviously you're not gonna have the big reactions to like last episode with a lot of the intensity that hits, but there are some hard hitting moments in this. Vision getting ripped apart. Spoilers, guys. Come on, it's the after show. Vision getting ripped apart, trying to leave the bubble was awesome. Like
Yeah.
it was awesome because it hit us real hard. It was heartbreaking. And it made me curious. It's like, why is he being ripped apart? Which makes me think, since we saw that shot of her breaking in and getting him out and he was in pieces, that she hasn't, because she's not a scientist, she hasn't actually fixed him. She has just kind of morphed him together.
Hmm.
um, I loved the thing with Catherine Hahn trying to leave. I think she showed that she could, that I think that did prove that she is not currently a villain, that she is not doing anything, but I have a theory on that.
All right.
um and
My
and then the
theory is
thing
debunked, I think.
that she's Nightmare.
Yeah, I think somehow one of those types of characters is involved, but I don't think it's her now.
I don't think they're involved at all. And here's my thought. In
Okay.
this episode, we get the tease that Darcy says, "Hang on there, Rambo. Your cells have changed. And they've not only changed once, they've changed twice." I think she is going to create mutants. She is going to be a cause for a massive amount of people to be a mutant. And I think she will change Catherine Hahn into a villain. And then Catherine Hahn is going to end up seeking revenge on Wanda for torturing her for a
Wow.
month or so, is
I
my
like
now
that.
new guess.
I
And
like that.
they dropped a nightmare, the word nightmare. Remember when he walked in, he's like, "This is a nightmare." And he said it really intense. And I was like, I think
Yeah.
that's a little foreshadowing to the next villain.
You said
Um,
that louder than most people would.
I see what you're doing here,
Mm,
Kevin.
okay,
I see what you're
Feige.
doing. I
Right.
get you.
That's a Feige note if I've ever
That's a
seen
that
one.
that. Let's be honest though. That is
Yeah,
like, in
probably.
an interview, Kevin's gonna be like, "Well, I made sure we had the line nightmare in there to
Just
discuss."
behind the camera. Say it louder.
It's Kevin eating a sandwich. Louder. I didn't write any of this, but this is my brainchild. Um, yeah, I think that is what's going to happen, and I wonder if we are getting the Fantastic Four, and that's who she's going to meet. Since the bubble's expanded, I think it's going to hit and change a lot of people, and I wonder if it's going to be like a younger, not John Krasinski, which would still be awesome if it is, but I wonder if it's going to be like a nerdy guy, Reed Richards, who brought his team and they're trying to help out because they're just so, remember when the Fantastic Four Fox movie tried to go younger with it? I think they might do the same thing here.
Oh, I
Um,
remember.
and they're all going to be kind of very interested in what's happening because it'll be like their first time getting to study villains or a
Mm,
hero. And then
mm.
when something happens, it changes them, and then they become the Fantastic Four, and they'll be classified as mutants. Is my leading theory? Although I still am with you where it's possible that it's not going to be Reed Richards. There was an idea floating around that I messaged Kyle about the other day that it might be Rocket Raccoon. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't see that
it
either.
would kind of, I mean, it would be a cool tease, but I don't see it being him. Banner still makes sense. Um, it also just might be a character we've never heard of. It might be Selvig from the Thor movies as well. Maybe that he is.
Oh, yeah.
It
But then
might be
wouldn't
that he's
but
getting out
then
of
wouldn't
jail.
Darcy be the one to be like, "Oh, I know this scientist who could help," instead of it being
I wonder if
Rambo?
Rambo just doesn't know that they know each other, because
Hmm.
that was the first time she had met Darcy, and now Darcy's in the bubble, and the two of them are separated. Which, if it is Selvig, it might be leading him. It might help him in his desire to want to help even more, knowing that she is in there, and him being
Hmm.
like, "Oh, I can communicate with her. I know her." You know what I mean? Like, there might be a way to like figure that out.
Hmm.
Any thoughts on just that little bit we've talked about, and then I think we should move over to Pietro's theories.
Yeah, with Vision, I really liked that we finally are seeing him like move away from Wanda so that way he can see like what's going on exactly. So I think like based on the little things, like as he gets farther away from her, like everyone's frozen in time, like that was kind of good indicators of like what this world is like and how it works. His conversation with Agnes, I thought was really good. Like I think it just revealed even more so that it is like his dead body, but like Wanda somehow morphed his body and not necessarily fixed him. So that's why he can't remember like what Avengers are or him being an Avenger when she like says if the Avengers are coming or something
Well,
like
his
that.
brain was also snapped out of him, so
True. Yeah. So, but even still, though, I think it's just more and more proving that this isn't necessarily Vision being brought back from the dead. And that also might explain why he was getting pulled apart because once he steps out of that warped reality, like he goes back to normal, which is, him being dead and broken apart. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, some of your theories are really good. I'm curious about like the one where Wanda's going to be causing mutants with her bubble thing, like maybe expanding or something, but I still feel like that's going to be a multiverse idea, is that mutants are just from another multiverse or something like that.
Yeah, and I kind of am with you too there, but the
Yeah,
Pietro stuff is what makes me a little more hesitant because the leading theory now is that he is not Evan Peters as in the Fox Evan Peters, that he is
I don't think he
just
is
a
either.
guy. And a lot of
Yeah,
people think well, because he kind of says it in this episode where he says
yeah,
like you've just put a new face on me.
hmm
Um and if that is the case, I think that is a bummer. Because I think if you're going to bring in a Quicksilver and you're going to bring in the Fantastic Four, bringing in that younger cast is a good idea. I think that younger cast didn't get their fair kind of shake in Fox, and it would be cool to give them a shot in this in the Marvel.
yeah,
But if Kevin Feige is just saying, "Look, I want to completely recast," you trust in Kevin. Kevin does nothing but knock it out of the park right now. I mean, the guy
yeah,
is just doing amazing stuff. So I do think it's not Evan Peters. I think that is true, and that's why you see the shot of him with the bullets and everything. That she is just it is too painful for her to even see her own brother.
hmm
So she has given him a new face. Although there were a few moments though where people were saying online like that's why he like remembers some things from their past. But I didn't take it that way watching the episode. I took it as he didn't really remember because he says a thing to her where he's like, "Remember when we did this as kids?" And she kind of looks at him differently. And I remember leaving the episode, and it wasn't until I got on Twitter and looked at everything that I saw what people were saying. But I thought it was more that this is definitely Evan Peters because they have different memories. Um,
from Fox, Evan Peters from Fox.
yeah. And here's another thing. If so people are saying that it is Aaron Taylor Johnson's body, and that's why we saw him um that's why you see him briefly in like the teaser or
hmm
whatever. And that she has just changed his face the way like Vision's face has changed because it's too much to handle. And that's why you saw the bullets. And that's how he can still run quickly. But I don't know. I just didn't take the memories that way, but I guess I'm just a wacko. What do you think?
I think you're a wacko. No, I'm just kidding.
It's
Um,
fair.
no, I still after this episode, I didn't really see them being like hinting at that it is him um from the Fox reality or whatever we're calling that anyway. I just felt that it was her interpretation of like what he would be like now, and maybe she used someone else's face and body to do a somewhat realistic
Hmm.
interpretation of Quicksilver that she knows. So I don't see it being like a alternate reality thing when it comes to this anyway. And this could also be just Feige planting another seed of being like, would people be okay if they did multiverse and alternate realities? Kind of like what we said last week with him planting seeds in like Far From Home with the idea of the multiverse, even though like it wasn't the case for like that story anyway. I feel like this could just be another way of him like planting another seed to see if people respond to it well. But mainly saying like this is supposed to be what she thinks like Quicksilver would be like today if he was alive, and like as an uncle, but just with someone else's body, and she just gave him powers.
And it could be that they still bring in the Fox characters, or they're just doing it differently. I do think
Yeah.
eventually the multiverse is ripped open. Last episode I thought she had already ripped it open, but I wonder if maybe expanding the bubble and then whatever happens in these next couple episodes causes it to like shred open,
Mm-hmm.
because that would make sense how Doctor Strange then gets involved, because he is supposed to protect our reality. How great was that line though, where she goes, "What happened to your accent?" Well, what happened to yours?
Yeah.
It's so good. It's
I had a
so
good
good.
laugh at that.
It is so good. And I do think the twins are real. And I'm now not so sure they'll age up anymore, because my original thought was they'll get to Spidey's age and then kind of join a Young Avengers crew, but they might even stay younger.
Hmm.
But I had another thing and I lost it here.
Well,
Um,
I'm curious about their powers now because I thought both the twins had the same telekinesis type powers that Wanda had, but then one of them got Quicksilver's speed suddenly, and I was like, oh, so one of them has hers and the other one has Quicksilver's. I'm not quite sure how that works
I think
exactly,
they're
but
more a manifest. Well, that you might have just changed my mind. That might have convinced. That might mean that they're not real, and that
yeah.
she is just kind of subconsciously giving them their powers, because
Hmm.
she is so much grieving her brother right now and just the loss
Yeah.
of everybody. And we got to remember too, she's not just grieving. She's grieving Cap and she's grieving Tony. I mean, she wasn't super close with Tony as much as she is Cap.
Oh yeah.
But they're
Yeah.
both gone and they're both big. They were parts of her lives that changed. And I mean, her journey with Tony was intense and her journey with Cap was intense. And she's grieving them just as much. Um, and yeah, I just love that. And what I really like is we have no idea what's next. We have not seen a shot that I can remember from the trailers. Like everything we've seen, we finally got the Halloween episode. We finally got maybe the most
No Luke
accurate
Skywalker.
costumes ever.
The
Uh,
explanation for the costumes were great. Like, oh, I'm a
yeah,
Sokovian witch, and I think Vision was like, I'm a Mexican wrestler, and I'm like,
yeah,
all right, that's the
um,
best way you could explain those costumes. I'm for it.
yeah. And the fact that her power has like a stretch limit, and that the people on the outskirts are barely moving, and that shot
Mm-hmm.
with like the tear is awesome. Like it's
Like
so heartbreaking.
she's in torture. She's in maybe pain. I
Yeah.
don't know,
And
but
when she expands it, it's like, dang, Wanda, you only need to go about 5 yards to get Vision. Why you taking over everybody here? Like,
yeah, you
calm
didn't
down,
want them.
girl.
You didn't want them involved in the first place.
Yeah, and that makes me think it's Reed Richards even more, because you're gonna need somebody with a little bit of gusto to help out now, because Darcy is gone into the bubble and most of the military is in the bubble. So it's got to be somebody with some legit knowledge. I don't know. Shuri is still possible, but I don't know. Is there a character Rambo could become now?
Oh yeah, there's a oh, what's her name now? Um, she does be. I mean, that character is like a superhero in comics, but I can't remember her name now for the life of me. I'll try
Shout
and
out
Google
to
it.
our buddy Josh, who's been on the show, friend of the show, who's the one who mentioned it to me, that Rambo might turn into a character, and he said the name, but I can't remember off the top of my head. And I thought Kyle would, because he's supposed to be an expert, um,
Yeah, I'm trying to
but he's
remember
not.
now. I'll look it up here in a minute, but
But I like this app. I'm excited for the next couple. It's going to be a fun. This is a great show, and I am digging it. Kevin is just the best in the game. It's just true.
I I think her superhero name is Photon.
Photon. Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Look,
so.
if she's a superhero in the comics and her cells are changing, she's about to become a mutant. And I wonder if that's what they're gonna call them. Like there's gonna be a big incident, and it might be Doctor Strange who drops the line, and he's like, well, they all have mutated cells, they're mutants. And then now we get our first real look at the X-Men. And maybe that is when they recast. Um, and they decide to go with other people.
If she becomes Photon, she's gonna fight next to Captain Marvel. I think that's gonna be a
Oh
big part
yeah,
of the story.
Oh yeah, and it makes sense
Yeah.
since the actress who played her friend in the first one is not going to be able to be around anymore. She's older
Yeah.
and has passed away in the show timeline, and it'd be cool having a kind of a sidekick. I still love from the last episode the little fight they have. Well, Wanda was taking Thanos out. Well, Captain Marvel could have taken Thanos out too. I mean, we saw it happen, and it's like, did you? Did
Yeah.
you? Was there tape on it? Did you? Was it what we watched? Was that a documentary to the
Yeah. Were
characters
you
in the world?
there? How do you
Yeah, it's like,
know?
oh, you know that that the FBI agent was walking out of there with his
I
little
have
pistol ready to
I
go.
have to think there was, I don't know, some kid who like poofed back into existence and he's like, what's happening? And then he looked over and he saw just these two armies colliding, and then he just slowly takes out his phone.
Yeah,
Like something like that had to
the
have happened,
janitor
right?
of the Avengers facility when he
Yeah.
got dusted came back and he was like gardening or something and he's like, "What on earth?" You just see him in the
He
distance
just
take
sees the
off. He's
the
got
place
gardening
got
shears and
destroyed.
he's like taking out he's taking out
Yeah,
monsters.
Avengers
Chitare.
assemble.
Yeah. I'm excited. Anything else? It was kind of a chiller episode, but I dug it. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on?
There was something that I was curious about. What did you think of the interactions um between Wanda and PHO? Not like thinking about like, oh, is he from a different universe, this and that. We already did that. I was just wondering what you thought of their interactions with each other as a
I
whole,
liked it.
because okay, because for me, I thought it was interesting because like I said, like it feels like Wanda's interpreting
How
what
he
her,
would be now.
yeah, how would he be now? And he's like trying to match that with her, but like she still feels a disconnect between him, where it's like she's seeing her brother, but it doesn't feel like her brother. And I don't know if I thought that was interesting or if I wasn't sure if it could be that like I wanted their interaction to like really hit home and like
Be
delve more into
heartwarming.
like, yeah, maybe heartwarming a bit and like also show like how she processed her grief or maybe has not processed her grief fully with like the loss of her brother. And so maybe like I just wanted it to be a different kind of reaction to what I saw there, but I still found it interesting still. Like what I wanted, I'm taking that out of the picture because I'm seeing like what they showed now. And I thought it wasn't what I was wanting, but I still thought it was kind of interesting. It wasn't where I thought they would go with it, you know?
Yeah, I liked it because I think it's her mind playing off of what she thinks is happened, like what her mind is going off of what she thinks he would be like, and that she is
Hmm.
realizing that she is, and I think it's hitting her grief more, which is why she's standoffish, is because she's realizing that she doesn't know how he would be, and if this is how he is, she's missed so much time with him to see how he became this way. I do think we
Yeah.
will get the heartwarming moment. I still think it's possible if this isn't Evan Peters, like him from the Fantastic Four or from the Fox properties, um, and it is just like her changing his face. I think we will get a moment where it is Aaron Taylor Johnson, and when she like finally like lets go,
Yeah.
and they have like a heartwarming goodbye. Um, I think would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll do that because again, I wonder if the reason they're doing this with Evan Peters is because Aaron Taylor Johnson does not want to come back. Because I still swear I read an article that said he would never come back to Marvel. Um, which I mean, think about it. I think about an article where Aaron Taylor Johnson doesn't want to come back. The guy who directed that is Joss Whedon. I'm hearing a lot of awful things about Joss Whedon. Maybe that links. Um, uh,
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, but I did like the banter. I think it's good, and I think it plays with the sitcom element. I mean, they kind of did a play off Modern Family this week, and
Oh, I got it more as Malcolm in the Middle. I didn't
I took
see
it as
Modern
Modern
Family.
Family. Don't they talk to the camera in Modern Family?
Yeah, it's kind of similarly as Parks and Rec and The Office, but Malcolm in
They
the
do
Middle,
it
they mostly
documentary
had
style. Yeah, yeah. Malcolm in the
Mal.
Middle. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, just like the
A
style.
play
Yeah,
off of that style. Malcolm in the Middle. Regardless, um, I think he fit well into like the older brother character from Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I
it,
thought
it
so
it
too.
makes sense that he was kind of a little standoffish and a little bit, like trying to be the voice of reason. And he might be in her subconscious, and that's why he's testing her, is because she is subconsciously fighting back her own self, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you.
Um, but yeah. Anyway, guys, that's it. WandaVision, right? Anything else?
No, that's all I need to talk
All right,
about.
guys, remember to like, subscribe, comment, share. Thank you again to our patrons. Go get some of the merch. I put this on because I was cold.
I'm freezing. Too
Uh,
cold.
oh, it's so cold, Kyle. Kyle, it's so cold. It's too
So
cold.
cold.
It's
Too
too
cold.
cold. I live on the
Too
water,
cold.
Kyle. You know how cold it is on the water?
Cold.
Cold.
Freezing. We should go now.
Freezing. All right, guys. Thank you for watching, Mom.
See you guys.